Good evening to you. At this hour on the business desk, Daybreak Foods has published details of the firm's business rescue plan, which will concentrate on the emergency and reactivation phases aimed at stabilizing the company's operations. The struggling chicken producer entered into voluntary business rescue in May following financial distress, mismanagement and animal cruelty allegations that led to a mass culling of chickens. It failed to pay workers in April, which led its main shareholder, the Public Investment Corporation, to appoint a new board of directors and pledge more than 200 million rand in additional funding to save some 300 jobs. Now, business rescue practitioner Tebogo Maoto speaks to us about these developments at Daybreak Foods. Thank you so much for your time once again. Do give us a breakdown of these plans that have been announced. How solid is the business rescue process going forward?
Okay, no, thank you to Nissan, and good evening to all the audience members. Yes, the plan will be published, or we're in the process of publishing the plan in the next 30 minutes or so, and in terms of Section 150. And then the plan is actually critical in turning Daybreak around, mainly focusing at Daybreak being the national strategic asset, and then where it's also contributing a lot to the economy from an agriculture perspective. And it's also a vital source of employment and food security in the country. So the focus on the business rescue plan is mainly the emergency phase, as you've indicated, and the reactivation plan.
How much of that deals with including workers? We do understand that there are still some issues there where it pertains to outstanding pay as well as job security going forward. And we spoke at length just a couple of months ago around how much of the communication process is going to include workers.
Tumisan, thank you once again. Communication with workers has been improved drastically. And where the gaps were was around reaching out to everyone. So we have a strong committee of employees that we engage with them on a regular basis to actually lay the message in terms of all the developments. And then in terms of the outstanding salaries, Tumisang, yes, the outstanding salaries of employees are still in arrears in terms of the arrears salaries. And then what we have done, we made measures since our last discussion to actually start paying salaries going forward and also applying stipend to employees that are not working. Tumisang, if I can just give you context, it cost Daybreak around 33 million if you were to pay the full salary bill. And then if you look at Daybreak performance to date or operational performance to date, we're only operating 2 divisions out of 5 divisions within Daybreak. And those divisions are not actually generating any revenue or much revenue. Maybe I might try to rectify my statement. They are actually generating little income and revenue. So the reliance on us paying salaries was mainly through the support of the shareholder and the funder, which is unsustainable going forward. And then going forward, we also considering to do labor rationalization. However, I'll take you through as you're asking the questions.
Let's talk about the shareholder here. As you mentioned, the PIC. What are their expectations and realistic timelines of this business rescue process, producing fruit?
Yes, I'll say, PIC as a shareholder, main expectations, obviously, to Misang, they've invested a lot of money in Daybreak, close to 2 billion. Obviously, the expectation is to get a recovery out of this process so that they can realize their return. However, given the issues, they have to adopt a patient approach in order for us to realize, make them realize a better recovery going forward. So Daybreak is not really, it's been affected very badly due to mismanagement, governance failure, and external other shocks that the company is faced with. And then there are also regulatory issues as well that also impacted on Daybreak and also are impacting on the turnaround going forward. However, we are making means and ways to ensure that such measures are going to be put in place. So clearly, to be honest with you, in order for us to accelerate that recovery, there has to be a capital investment that we have to put in place in Daybreak in order to assist with the reactivation plan.
So much more money is needed. Talk to us about how much exactly at estimation value.
Yeah, maybe let me clarify first what is actually going to be focused on, or the strategic focus under reactivation phase. So the consideration here is to restart operations at one of the abattoirs, and also to restart operations at one of the feed mills through an operating partner. The reliance here is not only on PIC or the lenders putting money. We're creating also a runway to say, for early start, because reactivation plan is only focusing on lean operations, right? And then in this process, we just want to generate cash as early as possible, and also to rebuild operational rhythm over time. So this will also require rationalization of labor. And then also the funding that you are actually asking or about, I cannot disclose at the moment because I haven't published the plan to Misang, not to be rude. However, the details around what is actually required going forward will be outlined in the plan that will be publishing in the next coming 30 minutes.
Understandably so. As a parting shot, I must also go back to the involvement of workers. How much of a role are employees going to play in the restructuring of Daybreak? What I'm really asking here, in essence, is what is the plan in terms of retaining as many jobs as possible?
Thank you. The question around job preservation to Misang is as follows. Number one, since the beginning of business rescue proceedings, we were able to successfully stabilize the breeding and the hatchery farms, where we have about 500 employees. I can safely say those employees, through those operations, because those operations are starting to wash their face. When we started business rescue, we had a flock of 250 birds that were in distress, and those birds now are actually producing eggs, and we are actually averaging around 700 to 800,000 of DOCs. DOCs is the day-old chicks that we're actually producing, and we're making income out of that process. And we've made even plus or minus, we generated cash of plus or minus around 20 million out of that process. And the second layer here is now with the production restart or the reactivation plan is to focus on opening one of the abattoirs, and that abattoir will actually need about 1,000 employees. And then the second one is the one at the second abattoir. Second abattoir as well will also require about 1,000 employees, but that process, we are carefully monitoring it because we can't carry as much labor as we can. There will definitely be a retrenchment plan that will be put in place to lay off employees. And then at the same time, as we're ramping up, we'll then call those employees back to employment. And then another reliance we have is on us getting the temporary employee relief scheme being put in place to mitigate the impact and also to support the reskilling of labor.
Thank you, as always, for your contribution. Business rescue practitioner Tebogo Maoto there talking to us about a plan that is going to be announced where business rescue is concerned for the poultry producer. We'll tell you all about it once that plan has been made public.